Hey, Dale the librarian here. So here's some quantitative research in communication concepts and ideas, and this is just kind of like a starting point. So if you want more help, feel free to reach out to me, dale.larson@utah.edu, and I'll show you some other contact info as we go. When you do a search out on Google, you could just throw in a bunch of keywords, and that works in some of our databases. But some of our other databases ask for a little more formatting, and it gets kind of annoying because you're like, I should be able to do this. So here's how to do this. First of all, let me show you some databases. Research, so databases under here. If your instructor says use this database, you can go in by name there. But under research guides, I have a list for this class. And I think I have to update the list, but this is how you find it. You go to the research guides. I'm having internet trouble today, so I had a tab prepped. It's taking forever to load. So if you go to the main communication guide, the bold one, it'll be the second tab over, the quantitative tab. And there's a whole bunch of other comm guides. And there's guides for if you want to learn how to do statistics, SPSS, if you're working in any other class, engineering to business to whatever, there's librarians for that in those guides. Oh, my eye. Okay, so trends and ideas. These are some places where you can see what people are talking about if you're interested in. But these are the main ones that are what I wanted to recommend to you. One that shows up a lot in classes is communication and mass media complete. So let's go there. And again, my internet is working slow, so it's magically, I'm already there. I open it up in another tab. So when you type in words here, so we're already in the context of communication. So you could type in quantitative, and then all of these things are showing up, but these are searches that you would see in the database themselves, or in the scholarly articles rather. So if you're interested in just in general starting out one keyword in the context of a communication database is likely to get you a ton of stuff. So that's our first concept. There's 8,000 articles. That's a lot, isn't it? If you want to narrow it down, you can go off of these sorting options on the side. So there's like date and subjects and so on and so forth. Or you could add, I'm hoping this is going to work. I hear the fan on my computer is starting to boil up again. I'm like, no, please work. If you add an and, it's going to look in those 8,000 articles for whatever it is that you're looking for. So I'm going to do quantitative and what do I want to look for? Oh, how about public relations? So there's two things going on here. Out of these 8,000 articles that we just found in quantitative, it's then out of those search results, the and says, okay, now you found everything quantitative. Now, out of those search results, find everything with public relations in the title or the abstract or the keywords. But another thing is happening. When I put public relations in quote marks, it's looking, so instead of looking for public here and relations here, it's only looking for those two words stuck together as if it was like the lyrics of a song. And you could do that out on Google. If you put something in quotes, it'll look for that, what's called a string of text. So if I'm looking for quantitative and public relations, now there's just 231. And that's much more manageable to go through. What are some of the other things that I could do? Let me show you in advanced search. It's a little easier to remember these. Say, for example, I didn't know if it was called public relations or if it was called something else. So I'm going to move it down here. Whoa, okay. Something quantitative. So here's the and I'll put public relations. Let's say I didn't know what it was in public relations, or if I wanted to, I'm thinking maybe it was outreach. I can do an or maybe it was called community relations. If I don't know what it's called and I want to throw in several of those words, that or in between, and by the way, the or shows up here as well if you wanted to do ors and just keep on adding lines. So what this means is it's going to find everything with quantitative, and then out of that pile, it's going to return every article that has one instance of this, or this, or this. So we should get more when you do an or statement. Yeah, a little more. I can't remember. It probably didn't give us a little more. Um, and somewhere in here is quantitative. Now here's the rub. You get to decide whether it's quantitative or not. So the methodology in some databases is really easy to find. So if you're the method of the research that they had done, if it was quantitative, it's like right up front right there. But in humanities, social science, and sometimes they're good about it and sometimes they're not. So you might have to look through and be careful. Do you know the name of a quantitative research method? You could do quantitative or statistics or correlation. Look, it even gives you suggestions here. Quasi-experimental, I'm not sure. I would Google those. Or if you have a list of research methods that are okay, you could search for that research methods because it's looking for it in the abstract. The last one that I wanted to show you, actually I have two more to show you, but if it was not. So say for example, there was something that showed up a lot and you didn't want it. So for example, right here, say I was like, I do not want public opinion on globalization. If you do the not, it will, in your search, omit all of the searches that have globalization. So my fingers are crossed. Is this going to work and omit that first article? It did. I'll be darned, it worked. I'm having one of those days where it's just like, oh, I can't believe that it worked. So here's another one. Oh, by the way, what does this all look like in a big single line search? It would be quantitative and I blew it. It would be, why does it keep doing that? Oh, fiddle-dee-dee. Don't want you to type for me. It would look like this. Globalization. So if you went back to basic search and you want to do that whole mess of stuff, there's some databases where you don't want to go into the advanced search. You want to just type it out, the whole thing. So that's what it would look like. So if we are looking for something that has, like in this or statement, say I wanted to do quantitative and I wanted to do something about women. What I would do is I would do that or statement, remember? So I do woman or women, but there's something called truncation where I could do a star and that would catch everything after this. So you're taking the prefix WOM or whatever number of words. And then the star says return everything that has WOM before it. So woman, women, women's, and that sort of thing. It's not going to catch female because those are different characters altogether. So you might have to do that. This is the Friday of all dreams. I'm making every possible mistake I could. So one last thing that I wanted to talk about for each of the group people is when you're doing a search, sometimes you'll get crazy stuff that just makes no sense or something that's horribly out of date. So here's some things that I recommend. Limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals, because for this class you have to have scholarly journals, and peer-reviewed just means it's like they're scholarly journals plus a little extra. They're really good. You can do references available as well. All peer-reviewed articles and scholarly articles will have references available. Another one is the publication date. Going back to 1948 is probably there's like one article that goes back that far. Most of them go back to like the mid 1990s. But a lot of communication research has changed or has opened or has expanded into new areas since the last presidential election. So I would say go into and just look at the last 5 years, maybe the last 7 years, so you can narrow down by date. And you can also go in by subject. So if you go in, let me open up one of these in another tab. Every scholarly article has keywords or subject terms. Here you can see them. These subject terms right here are written by the author of the article or authors of the article. And what they are intended to do is show these are the main and most important things about the article. So if you find other stuff, that's not necessarily what we're talking about. So populism, obviously, from the last election is going to be a big one. How do you go through all of those at the same time and see what everything is being written about is really handy. So if you go to subject and show more, and every database will have this where you can go by subjects or keywords. You can see all of those keywords and you can see if you're doing a literature review, what are you most likely to see things in. And this one isn't really good because it just has like, where there's only like 30 left. But if we did a search for something that was, let's do quantitative and politics. If you have like a huge search result, this will probably be, oh, there's only 86. I must be stuck in my old search. But if you get a huge search result, you can see what they're talking about. So one is Arab Spring uprisings. That might be too far out of date. Isn't it wild that that's like 10 years ago? That's amazing. Social media, everyone's talking about social media and its political influence right now. Facebook and so on and so forth. You get the idea. So if you're unstuck on anything, I'd be happy to help. Just contact me at dale.larson@utah.edu and good luck with your assignment. Have a nice weekend.